welcome back to another episode of News Dash, where two full-time realtors become part-time newscasters. So before we start on today's news, we're going to leave a QR code right here, which will allow you to join our Telegram chat. And from there, you can get all the updates regardless of new listings or our News Dash or any promo code. So do remember to check it out. So moving on to today's news, we'll be talking a little bit more about the new land dates, HDBs that are coming up, as well as a new revamped Sentosa.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so first up, we have Singapore's luxury housing market getting hit further by the money laundering scandal. So we've been following the news very closely, and we're seeing that, especially on the ground feedback, that because of this money laundering scandal, a lot of these buyers that came to view our properties, they do feedback that they want to have a wait and see approach to see how the luxury market actually performs within the next few months, especially with the ABSE hike that actually happened earlier this year. So just a recap for you guys. With this money laundering scandal, 60 completed properties and 34 uncompleted properties were seized from these 10 foreigners. And part of this homes were actually from Sentosa as well.
Yep.
So looking at third quarter of 2023 transactions, we are seeing that the transactions dropped by 41% to only 37 units. And the value of luxury non-landed homes, likewise, in this quarter, dropped 50% to 295.8 million, which is a 25% drop from the same time compared to 2022.
Yeah, I think the capital markets who are working on the ultra high net worths and going down for all the GCB viewings, they also have noticed about the little bit of a slowdown in terms of not only for sell and purchases, but also for the rental market. Because I think with the scandal going on and with all this laundering of money, the owners are a little bit more cautious on who they actually rent it out to, because of a lot of these money laundering people are all renting these huge GCBs. So I think they're a little bit cautious on who they rent to, and that's also causing the slowdown. And another point on why people are also holding off the sale of their homes is also because they feel like, a lot of these foreigners who are actually buying the luxury homes previously were paying 30% ABSE. And once this ABSE actually changed up to about 60%, a lot of them are actually holding up and waiting for them to get the PR status before actually purchasing to actually save on the ABSE.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because what we're seeing is one of the accused for this money laundering case was that one of them actually paid about $150,000 a month with their GCB rental. And recently, one of the GCB owners shared that, they had this foreigner from Fujian province as well who wanted to rent their GCB for 100K a month, paying 5 years upfront. But of course, they after all this scandal case that happened, this profile was rejected, so didn't go through. Another reason why, Grace was sharing earlier that all these buyers, they actually want to wait and see how the property market performs, and also all these sellers, they are seeing that these buyers are getting more conservative as compared to earlier this year or even last year. So they're saying, hey, maybe we should wait for a little bit to see if, there's a change in the market, especially since all these buyers are not willing to match the prices that they're asking for.
So I think a lot of these owners for GCB is also holding back because they just feel like, in the current market, buyers are not able to match their asking prices. And with the holdings that they have, they're also not in a real hurry to actually sell until they actually find these right buyers. So that's also causing why the luxury property market is also slowing down.
Yeah. So for you buyers out there who are looking for luxury properties in Singapore, maybe now is a good time to actually enter the market.
Yep.
Okay, so next up, we're seeing that, Singapore is facing some challenges in the real estate market, but the property market still remains resilient. So what do we have here in this news today?
So we also see developers who are expected to lower their bids for the government land sales sites due to uncertain market conditions, especially also due to thinning of the margins. And this is something that a lot of buyers are actually concerned on the ground, because they're saying, if land bids are going down, our price is actually also falling. And this is a huge discussion among the buyers. So one thing you do have to take note for buyers is that this new rule of area harmonization is also one of the main cause on why developers are actually lowering their bid for land prices. So if you want to find out more, do check out our new video on our channel where we go a little bit more in depth on what area harmonization rule is all about and why developers are actually lowering their bid.
So I think in addition to that, a lot of developers are also facing a lot of challenges, especially in the CCR market after the ABSE hike, which we mentioned earlier, that was implemented earlier this year.
Yep.
Another thing was that, residential rents, we are seeing that it's actually a lot slower this year compared to last year, where, units would be snapped up within like 1-2 days. Tenants, they don't even have to view in person and they would just view over videos.
Yes, I think a year ago or 1 to 2 years ago where, there are like 10 groups that are actually fighting for like one unit.
Yeah, so we don't really see that anymore this year, especially since a lot of new supplies are coming in. We are seeing that 17,000 of private residential units are expected to be completed end of this year, one of which is, Amber Park. A lot of hype was going for Amber Park when it was first launched about 2-3 years ago. Really excited to see the actual unit and development this year, and also another 9,875 units coming up in 2024. So because of this, we're seeing that, the residential rents price could probably drop up to about 5% compared to this year with the ramp up in supply.
Yeah, but what we also want to note that is that at the end of the year, we're also seeing major launches that are coming up. They are very popular, such as Jayden, Wharton House, and Hillock Green. So we do know that, if you have been to the show flat for Jayden, you know that it has been packed during the weekend just because of the location, and there hasn't been a new launch in the area for a long, long time. So I think a lot of people are having eyes on it. And during the last stretch of the year, we might see more transactions in terms of the new launches also.
Yeah. Also for Wharton House, for those of you who are looking for schools that's within 1 km to Tao Nan and SGPS, this is one development that you want to be looking out for. Speaking about rents, we want to discuss a little bit more about the office segment since it's rarely touched upon. So today we are seeing that, the Grade A offices in the CBD area has rose for the 7th consecutive quarter, highest rentals being in Marina Bay. But one thing that we want to take note of is the economic challenges that these office spaces are actually facing, because not a lot of companies are renting as much of a big space that they require as compared to, before COVID.
I think a lot of people are actually working from home right now, so they don't really need that huge space for all their employees, because I think, most of the employees probably go to office like 2 or 3 times a week as compared to, pre-COVID seasons.
Yeah, I've been speaking to some of my friends who are working in corporate and some of them don't even go to the office. Some of them only require to go to the office about 2-3 times a week, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, offices, they don't really require
I think as long as you deliver, your boss is happy.
Yeah. You can work from Bali, you can work from Maldives, Japan, anywhere.
That's Geraldine's dream.
That's my dream. But yeah, so we're not seeing that there'll be a huge decline in rent because landlords also have holding powers.
Yes. Okay, so the next news that we have upcoming is the Pearls Hills revamp, where 6,000 new homes are coming up in central Singapore. So this is going to be something exciting for you people who are looking to buy a home near the CBD area. So I don't know what you think, but I've spoken to 2 very different groups of people where, some of them would love to have home in CBD because they just say it's so convenient, and some of them just say that, staying in CBD just seems like they're never getting home because they work in the CBD and they're going to stay in the CBD. So
I think it depends where you are. Okay, so I've actually sold properties in CBD versus non-CBD properties.
Yeah.
And I would definitely prefer non-CBD property because selling properties in Marina 1, I've experienced, going there in the morning, seeing people actually going to the office, and in the evening when I'm going there, people are going home, leaving the house. Leaving the office.
Yeah, the one good break you get is during the weekend. There's nobody.
Yeah, in the weekend it's like completely empty, but you only get 2 days of like quiet time. But
you get a whole place yourself.
Yeah, but personally I prefer non-CBD areas. But this one is actually located right opposite Outram Park, nearby Chinatown in Pearl Hill. And actually this area is not really, I wouldn't consider it really CBD area because a lot of residential areas, properties are in the area. And also the government is actually looking to cater to different housing needs. So you'll be getting both private and public housing. Just a reminder to those of you who are looking at this specific location, earlier this year, HDB actually implemented a new rule that, depending on the location, some public housing will be considered under the prime flat. And for this, we are seeing that because of the location, it will be considered under the prime flat.
Yes.
And for that, we are seeing that the MOP will be about 10 years.
Yes.
10 years, sorry, not 5 years.
So they wait 5 to 6 years for it to be built, and then another 10 years to exit. So this is really targeting to people who is looking to stay there long term.
Yeah. So the objective of the government, having and implementing more supplies in the city area is because we're seeing that there's more growing aspirations of Singaporeans who want to live closer to the city, closer to work, and also, walking distance to MRT stations.
Yeah.
And this is probably the perfect location in Outram Park, where you have access to 3 MRT lines, the green, the purple, and also the one that's most recent, the brown line, where you can actually get access to Orchard, Gardens by the Bay, Maxwell, all this just within a few stops from Outram Park MRT.
Yeah, and I think for those of you who are specifically looking at, this area's project itself, you'll be happy to know that because you're at the highest point in the area, some of the flats are likely to have unblocked views of both the city as well as the sea.
Yep. So really excited about this project. There's also potential for mixed-use developments integrated with Orchard MRT station as well.
Yeah, so I think buyers will have more opportunities to actually enter or stay near the city area.
Yep. Next up, speaking about public housing, we're seeing that HDB has extended the HFE letter from the current 6 months to now 9 months, effective from just yesterday.
Yep. So I think this gives buyers a little bit more time when they're actually searching for their home from 6 months to 9 months, so they don't have to keep renewing it or reapplying for it. So I think this is beneficial for the buyers as well. But also do note that HFE actually takes about 1 month to actually get it approved. So unlike your HLE previously, where it could take as quickly as a couple of days to 1 week, this will actually take longer. So if you do plan in your home search for your HDB flat, do remember to do it in advance so it doesn't affect when you actually find a property that you really like.
Yep. Okay, so just a quick one. So last one we have here, we're seeing that there's major expansion plans for Resort World Sentosa.
More place for play.
Yeah, so we're really excited with all these developments that's coming up, with all this transformation that's happening in Sentosa, in CBD, in Orchard. Yeah. Really excited for Singapore in the next 10 years. Because I remember seeing, I was looking through Instagram and I saw, Marina Bay, just 10 years or 15 years ago, it was
looks very,
completely
very different.
Empty.
Yeah.
Compared to what we have now with Marina Bay Sands. We have the Singapore Flyers, we have Gardens by the Bay. It's so different now.
So a subsidiary of Genting Singapore has actually received a provisional permission from the URA to actually develop almost 21,000 square meters in terms of gross floor area of retail space, as well as 700 hotel rooms at RWS. So they're actually looking to pump in $4.5 billion for this entire rejuvenation and expansion of RWS Integrated Resort.
Okay, so for those of you who can't imagine how big 21,000 square meters is, it's actually 3 huge World Cup soccer fields.
So besides the expansion of Resort World Sentosa, UOL and Singapore Land Group has also gotten the provisional permission to actually partially redevelop Marina Square, and this will actually include residential units, retail spaces, as well as offices. So the whole Marina Square complex will actually comprise of a mall as well as 3 hotels, but this will take place over 8 to 10 years, and currently we're still in the early phases of the planning.
So do take note, when all this construction is happening, the hotels and businesses will still operate as per usual, so nothing will be affected.
Okay, so that's all the news that we actually have for today. Do remember to join our Telegram group channel if you haven't, and we'll see you the next time. This is Grace.
This is Geraldine.
Bye-bye.